A little while ago I made a video on how to reset a Ulterra that, let's say you were in a deployed position and you're using your motor and somebody accidentally kicked the plug out of the motor, or we had a power interruption. It's mostly a power interruption problem. Loose connections, loose plug, just anything that will cut the power to the Ulterra when it's down. And what happens when the Ulterra is down, we lose the shaft length setting, and we also lose the park position of the motor when it's coming up into the stowed position. So we ran through all of that. That's on a different video. Now I get guys asking me, what happens with an Ulterra when it's, say, 45 degrees deployed or stowed and it jams? What can you do in a case like that? So we're gonna try and fake that. I'm gonna deploy it and kill the power when it gets in that position. We're gonna wait a minute or two, and then we're gonna reset it so that you guys know what's going on. So I've killed the power now. We're at about a 45 degree setting. Now the problem here is we no longer are in the park position, so this sensor isn't working. This trim sensor isn't lined up with the magnet, nor on the back side here, we have a large cam sensor that's the one that controls what's happening right now. And it's out of position because there's no lock in it. Now that the motor's been killed out here, we're gonna try and trick this thing to go back to, we wanna put it in the deployed position. Then we can reset the shaft length and we can reset the park position. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna restore power. So we've got power restored, and we'll turn the unit on. And I get, on my remote, I will get a thing that says motor paused or motor error. Mostly it's the motor error that's gonna be the problem. If you get a motor paused, you probably will be able to finish off what you did. But sometimes it forgets where it is. One of the easiest things to do is, some guys will get a narrow screwdriver, a long narrow screwdriver. You don't use your hands because it's a little bit dangerous, but you can move this cam sensor with a screwdriver. And all you want to do is take it and move it a little bit. But what I find is easier is I take this panel off. So all you need is an Allen wrench, and you're going to take these two cap screws off. Now on a boat it might be a little difficult, but you should have at least a couple of Phillips screwdrivers, a number 2 and a number 3. And I believe this is a 5/16 Allen wrench. So this is the unit we're gonna play with, is this unit right here. So this unit, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna try and get this machine to continue to deploy. And all I'm gonna do is move this sensor. And once I get the sensor, I can let it go and this unit will deploy. Now, once I'm in this position, I can reset the shaft length. I can set my park position correctly. We'll pretend that, say this thing was up a little ways and the motor was way out of position. And we're gonna be in trouble now because it won't allow me to stow, or it's gonna come up stowed in this position instead of a horizontal. For me, it's an easy fix. Now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna kill the power again. I'm gonna unplug it from power. I'm not gonna shut it off, I'm just gonna kill it from power. That way it'll wipe out anything that's in the park position and stow position. So what we're gonna do now is, now that it's dead from power, I'm gonna set the motor leg the way I like it, the way I feel comfortable that it's gonna stow in the cradle. I'm gonna put my side panel back on my motor cradle with 2 Allen head screws. Okay, that's on. Now we'll reset some of the components on here. I'll restore power. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna reset the shaft length. So what it's gonna do is I'm gonna press the power button on, and I'm gonna press the power button 3 consecutive times. And what's gonna end up happening is this shaft's gonna come all the way up to the bottom of the motor. And then it's gonna drop down 8 inches and I'll be able to stow it. Sometimes if you start that procedure and it wants to crank itself around and you don't have enough clearance, you may have to unplug it and re-clock this motor again. but we're going to give it a shot and see what happens here. On. So ours went out of shape a little bit. I'm going to get it past my stand. It went in. Now it's going to drop down. Now this thing is going to come up at a little bit of an angle, but we've got an easy solution for that. When I go now to stow this thing, and you have to stow it so that you can finish off the retiming of everything, and it's a little bit crooked, so when it gets horizontal, I'm going to pause it. And then I'm going to straighten it out past, a little bit past horizontal, and I'm going to finish stowing it. Perfect. Now that it's done that, we can shut it off from power, go back and disconnect it from power. That resets all of the components. So that should get us, I always leave it about half a minute or so just to let all the boards run out of power. That way it'll reset everything, or drain from power, I guess would be the more proper term. Okay, now we're gonna hook it up back to power. We're gonna turn it on, and we're gonna deploy it and see how we did. So it's gonna go back to the last position we had it at. We can now reset our favorite positions, like your shaft length, and you can carry on and steer it around. Now what I want to do is I want to check and see if our park position is going to be correct. So I'm going to stow it. Perfect. Goes into the perfect horizontal position. Up it comes, and in it goes. It's a little bit prop facing down. You can, on your next stow and deploy, if that bothers you, you can pause it again in the horizontal position, crank your head up a little more, finish the stow, and shut the power off and unplug it from power, and that'll reset everything. One of the things that was happening before was this motor wasn't coming in once I corrected it. And all you have to do, if that happens, is just get a flat screwdriver and push that little unit forward, or I guess backwards. Push that unit backwards, and it will finish the stow for you. And then turn it off of power and unplug it, and it'll reset for you. I also get some comments and questions asked of me is when they reset everything, the unit, the prop isn't in the same position as it was when they started off the morning. And sometimes the cable's on this side, and they're all a little bit upset about that. One of the quickest ways to reset that is, I will tell you to shut the power off. Do not unplug it from power. Just shut the power off and take a flat screwdriver. And this you can do on the boat. I don't think you could do this on your trailer. You might be able to. You might have to do it on the water. But pry this little tab up, lift this unit up, and these two units are going to separate. Then I want you to turn it 180 degrees and click it down. And now it's in this position. So I could technically turn the power on and stow it, and it would be the right position that you like. But because I had this right, I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to put it back to where it was, where the customer had it in the first place. And just make sure that the two lock together. Then when you turn it on, we should be able to stow the unit correctly. Perfect, thank you.